So, fun fact about me, I am a massive Devil May Cry fan. It is perhaps one of my favorite gaming series of all time. I've played every game in the series, including the reboot, and Devil May Cry 3 is perhaps one of my favorite games of all time. I played it on every difficulty back in the PS2, I played it on every difficulty in the HD collection, and that says both Dante and Virgil, and I played every other game on just about every difficulty as well, except for 1 and 2 because I'm not putting myself through that pain, and 2 is especially torture. But all that to say, I was pretty excited when I heard that there was a Devil May Cry anime coming out. You know, we haven't had a Devil May Cry anime since 2005, 2007, something like that. So I felt like, we were long overdue for a decent adaptation. That's not to say that the original wasn't good, it's just that, a new, more modern adaptation would be fantastic. But with Devil May Cry being such a beloved series to me, I approached this new anime with a bit of hesitation. Because the last thing I wanted to do was get overly excited about an adaptation for a series I love, only to see it get absolutely butchered in said adaptation. It's happened before, I refuse to let it happen again. However, having recently watched this new Devil May Cry series, you can rest assured and confidently know that I have complaints.
Want to know the name? Devil May Cry.
Starting with the positives, I like the soundtrack. I've heard some people complain about the fact that they kind of just took the songs from the games and kind of just slapped them into the Netflix series. But I disagree. I like that they bothered to make softer renditions of the songs from the games, mainly from 5. From what I heard Crimson Cloud, Devil Trigger, and Bury the Light, and there's also Devil Never Cry. But I like them, and they worked well with the show. And just the basic soundtrack from the series, I thought was good. I liked it. Positive number 2, Dante. Dante is a bit more of a shaky positive because on one hand, I like his design. It's very much Dante. I think they did a pretty good job of making him look like Dante. But I feel like they didn't do a half bad job representing him as, representing his character in the show. But I feel like they went a little too far in making him kind of goofy and, funny, because Dante, while, yeah, he'll make fun of you and laugh in your face and constantly wisecrack at you, he doesn't just shoot one-liners off like that. I've heard some people compare him to Deadpool. That's not a terrible comparison to make. Because if Dante ever makes fun of someone or shoots a wisecrack at someone, he's doing it for a reason. He's doing it either in reaction to what that person or thing said or is doing or is, or he's doing it to get a reaction out of someone or something. He normally doesn't do it just to be funny like that, and I think that's the problem here. His attempts at humor feel almost forced, as if he's trying to be funny, and Dante is effortlessly funny and cool, and that's his whole shtick. That's his whole character. He is effortlessly cool because he just is. He's also 9 times out of 10 stronger than the thing that he's making fun of, and he knows it, which is why he feels like he absolutely can crack jokes about the thing that he's currently making fun of. It's like Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo is stronger than 99% of everything in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, and he knows it. Nothing can touch him. And his ego is part of what makes him funny, is part of what makes his character funny. His ego about his strength is what makes his character funny and almost kind of compelling to a certain sense. And Dante is the same way. Speaking of power, also in regards to Dante, his power is like, it fluctuates. It's not consistent. Sometimes he'll be clearing through demons and people alike, just completely tearing through them. And then suddenly he's struggling to fight against Lady or Agni and Rudra, or Cavalier, when realistically he should not. We know Dante to be way stronger than any of those characters. Now, in this Dante's defense, he is perhaps the youngest we've seen him. We see him pretty young in the mangas that are canonical to the main series, but this is Dante. This is still Dante when he's pretty darn young. So it makes sense that he doesn't have his full strength, and it would also explain why he's so childish at times, why his personality is so childish and he's such a goofball, because he is actually kind of naive. But even like in Devil May Cry 3, that is him at his youngest, and he easily defeated every boss outside of Virgil and Arkham, I guess, because he had Sparta's power. Literally none of the bosses that we see in the series should even be able to stress him at all. Positive number 3, the rabbit. This is going to be a short positive because I think anyone who watches the show is going to recognize this immediately, but the rabbit is absolutely one of the best characters of this entire show, and whether you like the show or not, I think it's going to be pretty darn hard to disagree with this. The rabbit almost stole every scene that he was in. He had a fantastic charisma. He was a compelling character. My only gripe about him were his motivations seemed a little stupid, and that's based on another problem that I will get into later once I get into the negatives. Well, that about does it for the positives. Let's get into the negatives, shall we? Dante is not in this show nearly enough for a show called Devil May Cry. He is darn near a secondary character compared to the completely useless military organization known as Darkcom. Now, the idea of an entity like Darkcom existing within the realm of Devil May Cry I actually don't think it's a bad idea. The idea of there being a government military organization designed specifically to deal with the demonic incursions that happen on Earth is smart and does give context as to what the regular world does whenever demons appear, because at least within the original world of Devil May Cry, demons are a genuine problem. My problem is they spend way too much time with the elite squad of Darkcom units and Lady herself compared to how much screen time they give Dante. Darkcom absolutely should have been much more of a background entity, something that, we see on occasion and is definitely there, but it should not have been, I think, as much of a main focus as it was. Though I don't think it would have been nearly as much of an issue if Darkcom wasn't so utterly useless throughout the entirety of this show. I don't think we saw Darkcom kill a singular demon. You know what, I actually take that back. They did kill some demons, not counting the ending episode. But they did kill some demons. The innocent ones that had absolutely no ability to fight back. And Lady killed some demons, but aside from her, like the elite Darkcom squad, I don't think a single one of them outside of Lady killed a singular demon. That's not even a joke. That is me being genuine. I don't think they killed a singular demon within the entirety of the show. I don't think any of the regular grunts killed any demons either. You can't go hyping up this whole organization specifically designed to deal with demons and then have them fail almost every single time we see them on screen. And then, especially when they take up, more than half of the screen time from the main character of the show.
You good do real. They're a little too comfortable. It's neck. Up demon. Laugh your cotton puff tail off.
What also doesn't help is that Lady, basically the second main character, might as well be the main character, frankly, with how much screen time she gets. It was very annoying to watch. I know I'm only adding fuel to the fire that has already been roaring for days now. But yeah, no, she's incredibly annoying to watch because I don't think there is a sentence that she says in this show that does not have some type of swear word in it. But outside of the very blatant issue with her, one of the smaller issues I have with her in the show is that they connected her to the larger entity of Darkcom, which is a bit off for her character because Lady has always been a bit of a loner type of character. Despite even being friends with Dante, she doesn't really work with him that often at all. In fact, she prefers to do her own missions completely separate from Dante. Unless it's a particularly big issue that she needs Dante's help with, normally she does her own thing. And this is partially because of her traumatic past, with Arkham attempting to kill her and actually killing her mother when she was younger. And along the lines of her past, Lady despises her name. She wants nothing to do with her name, with her family's name, anything. That's why she goes by Lady in the series. She wants nothing to do, no connection to her past family, because she finds it disgusting that her father, in pursuit of demonic power, basically destroyed their entire family. But it feels like in this show, they went out of their way to refer to her by her full name several times. It almost felt like it was on purpose. The issues with Lady's character stem from what I believe to be a small but also kind of large change in her backstory in the show. That being that Arkham dies in the show. Arkham still being alive in DMC3 is what drives Lady to become a devil hunter and go on a one-woman mission to hunt down and kill the man who killed her family, who is also a very clear and present evil threat to the world. Him still being alive is also the reason why she wants nothing to do with his name, because she wants no connection to the very present and clear evil that ruined her family, as I mentioned before. So them changing that small detail was enough to very drastically actually change Lady's character in this show from how she is in DMC3. Now that was an example of a small change that pretty drastically changed the outcome of a character in the show. What I'm about to get into now, though, is a major change that basically upturns the entire narrative of Devil May Cry and almost invalidates the entire title of the whole series, and I'm not even joking. That being the Innocent Demons plot. I have so many issues with this plot point, but for those who don't remember, around episode 5, it's discovered that there are innocent demons that are hiding out in the human realm that are just trying to live in peace, who are not trying to cause any harm, they just want to live normally. Now, in any other circumstance, this wouldn't be a bad plot point, but this show had the gall to try to make me feel bad for the innocent demons because they feel like they're being oppressed and vilified and persecuted by the humans because, you know, humans basically kill any demon on sight. Now keep in mind, as I say that, for the past 4 episodes, we saw nothing but the absolute worst from all the demons that we had ever seen on screen. And that's just as us as viewers. If we want to take it a step further, the people within the realm of the actual show have seen nothing but the worst from demons, and I mean that like literally. The innocent demons have been hiding away. Basically, no one knows they exist. Even Darkcom didn't know that they existed. But they feel like, oh well, humans are unjustly persecuting demons. Well, if every single time someone's come across a demon, it has ended in either someone's, death, and at the least, someone getting horribly injured, I'm sorry, but yeah, they have every right to kind of profile the demons at that point. And what's even worse is the fact that the demons know why the humans are kind of just kill on sight for any demons, because the whole reason why they're refugees in the first place is because they're running from the other evil demons that have taken over their world. They're hiding from both demons and humans alike, and they hate the demons for whatever reason. Even the evil demons, like, the Plasma, Agni Rudra, Viper, they call it humans and call them evil for, just kind of going out and killing all the innocent demons. When they're the reason why they're there in the first place. They're the reason why they're in the human realm in the first place. Hey people, editing Josh here. Just wanted to pop in and clarify a few things just to make sure there's no misunderstandings or confusion. The humans have only ever known demons to be violent and malicious monsters because that's all they have ever seen from them. As far as they are aware, good demons literally do not exist because they've never shown themselves to exist. Now, the good demons having a fear of revealing themselves is understandable because due to all the negative experiences the humans have had with most other demons, there's a good chance that humans would automatically profile the good demons as evil because, well, that's all they've ever known. However, the good demons calling out the humans for their hatred of them while knowing that the humans don't know that they exist, as well as knowing that the humans have only dealt with the worst demons that they are also actively hiding from, comes across as incredibly unself-aware. This is what I meant when I said that the rabbit's motivations were a bit hypocritical earlier. The rabbit hates humans mainly because of what they did to him and his demon family when they first crossed over back into the human realm. But they were running from demons in the first place. The whole reason why they even went back to the human realm was because the demon realm was becoming more and more unhospitable because of what the other ruling class demons were doing. They were completely destroying that realm and making it only fit for them to live. And the whole reason why the humans in that moment started shooting them in the first place was because the demon that they were initially running from popped through the portal. But for some reason, the white rabbit has this weird obsession, weird hatred for humans. Now, it would be more understandable if the white rabbit's hatred for humans was a weird obsession, a weird traumatic obsession, because from his perspective at that time, he believes that it was humans that were the fault, but that's his own traumatic view of it, and the show goes out of its way to show it that, like he is actively seeing it wrong because of how traumatic the situation was. But we never get that. The closest thing we ever get to anyone calling him out on his hypocrisy, especially the hypocrisy of him experimenting on the people that he is actively trying to save, in hard quotes, is a lady quickly calling him out and saying like, hey, you're trying to save these people, but you're actively doing horrible experiments on them? What's wrong with you? But the rabbit just comes back at her and says like, I have to do what I do to defend against an enemy that would do worse to me. As if he was trying to call out the humans for being completely evil and cruel. And that's not to say that the humans in the show don't do some evil things, but the demons are very much the clearer and bigger threats to not only the humans, but other demons, as this show went out of its way to show multiple times. And this show is so determined to prove to you that the humans are evil and many of the demons are just misunderstood that it goes out of its way to not only overly explain and scientifically prove the existence of demons, why they exist, the realm that they inhabit, because they no longer exist in underworld. They're no longer just demons. They're no longer that exist within the underworld or hell. They are a separate strand from human, almost a separate species from human that stepped into another realm called Makai, and the demons that reside within Makai are called Makaians. So they've completely separated the idea of demons from the show. Demons don't exist. These things are just separate entities from humans. But they also depict the US as almost like an exaggerated parody of a militaristic, patriotic invading force that, by the end of the show, invades hell and starts to clear out and occupy portions of it, capturing and imprisoning demons as well as mining their resources. I cannot help but feel like they are trying to say something.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
They use this show as a soapbox and a commentary on American imperialism and immigration. And not even a good one at that, because the examples that they give in this show, the way that they try to portray these issues in the show is so poorly done, and they beat you so hard upside the head with them that I honestly cannot take them seriously, even if I wanted to. And again, that's just the problem with that plot point from just a narrative perspective. The major issue with this plot line, with the whole Innocent Demons plot line, is that it completely invalidates the whole title of the entire series. It invalidates it because in the original series, demons are completely evil beings that seek nothing but more and more power so they can usurp or one-up the other demons that are currently in power. And the main way that they gain power is through human blood. So it's needless to say that Any human to ever come across a demon in the original series is normally not having a good time. But it's the reason why Sparta's rebellion is such a major event, because it's the first time ever that a demon rebelled for the sake of someone else, for the sake of someone that they loved, because demons are inherently selfish beings that have no care or compassion for anything or anyone but themselves. It's such a pivotal moment that it literally formed the world of Devil May Cry as it is. So to connect this back to my original point, if a devil may cry, if a devil is capable of shedding tears for another being, holding compassion and care for another being, then it means that they've gained a heart, they've gained a soul, something that basically no demon or very, very few demons are ever capable of doing. It's part of the reason why Lady at the end of Devil May Cry 3 says this.
Maybe somewhere out there, even a devil may cry when he loses a loved one. Don't you think? But now I realize that there are humans as evil as any devil, as well as kind and compassionate demons in this universe. At least I've found one so-called devil who is able to shed tears for those he cares about. That's enough for me to believe in him.
And also why Virgil is seen as a villain, why what Virgil is doing is considered as evil, because Virgil is rejecting his humanity and only seeking power, similar to what basically demons do. I get that it's not exactly blatantly said in the Devil May Cry series, but a human soul is a very powerful thing. A human heart is a very powerful thing in Devil May Cry. It's part of the reason why Virgil very rarely one-ups Dante, because the one thing that he has over Virgil is a human heart, is a human soul. The greatest example I can give you is this scene here from Devil May Cry 4.
You surrendered your humanity. It's that simple.
But you are not human! So why am I inferior?
You assume humans are weak. Okay, yeah, their bodies lack the physical ability of a demon. But humans possess something that demons don't.
What? What is it that demons lack? Please, for the sake of my research, please tell me! No!
If you're gonna continue your research in the next world...
No!
Do your homework first.
Dante basically says it without saying it. So the whole innocent demons plot completely diminishes the absolute significance of Sparta's rebellion and sacrifice, and completely misses the whole point of the whole series. At the end of the day, I understand that this is someone's take on the Devil May Cry series, and for this season, Devil May Cry 3 specifically. So I can accept some creative liberties being taken, especially when adapting an already existing story into a different medium. But there still has to be some respect for the source material, because without it, you would not have the story that you are currently creating now. If you're going to so drastically change your adaptation from the source material, then you either need to make it blatantly clear that your adaptation is going to be a little different from the original, or you just need to make something entirely new, because at that point you're no longer making anything that resembles the thing that you're basing it off of. From what I understand, Adi Shankar, I believe I'm saying that name right, is a massive Devil May Cry fan, so I don't really understand how he would deviate so far from the original series. Because throwing in what I assume to be his own politics and missing the entire narrative point of the original series, he might as well have just made his own show using the Devil May Cry name and the characters. It's very similar to what the DMC reboot did, but the one thing that the reboot has over the Netflix series is that the reboot made it pretty clear from the get-go that it was going to be very different from the original series. It was a bit too different from the original series because none of those characters even closely resemble the characters from the original series, but at least it clarified from the beginning that it would be very different. The Netflix series has the gall to try to say, oh, this is Devil May Cry, but in animated form. No, it's not. These are very different characters acting very differently, and this story isn't even close to the original story of the original series. There are other smaller issues that I didn't really talk about or go too deeply into, like this show over-explaining things. Dante's voice actor, I know I'm only one of many people who complain about that, but like, yeah, Johnny Young Bosch, great voice actor, really, truly, but like, he should not have been the voice for Dante. And also the usage of like random bosses from the different games of the series, it kind of just felt like they said like, ooh, that boss looks cool. Okay, we'll take that one, and we'll take Cavalier from 5 and Viper from 4. Yeah, at least one from each game. It's stuff like that and Johnny Young Bosch being Dante's voice actor that tells me that this series will probably not really follow much of the storyline from the original series. As a Devil May Cry fan, I really wanted to like this series. And to a point I do, because it does have some moments where I think it's good, and it gets a few things right. But the things that it gets wrong are so major, so heavy, so connected to Devil May Cry, that the fact that they got them so blatantly wrong that I cannot really forgive it for those mistakes. Part of me is curious to see where this series will go, because they're already working on a season 2. I'm curious to see how they progress. Maybe they'll get better in the second season. Maybe they'll adhere a little closer to the source material. But I also am quite nervous at this point with how it continues. I honestly could keep going with my many issues with this series, but I really don't want this video to be much longer than it already is, and I'm really trying to keep some type of structure to this video despite it being very off script. But with that said, I do want to thank anyone who has bothered to listen to me this long, and I am curious to know what other people think. Am I crazy, and am I just harping on things that really aren't that important in regards to Devil May Cry? Or am I on point in the fact that they completely missed the point of the whole series and the things that make Devil May Cry Devil May Cry? Let me know. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.